Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. My name's Linda. I'm your complex trauma certified recovery coach, and welcome to Complex PTSD TV. It's great to have you with us, and welcome to everybody who's new to the channel. How awesome to have you join our beautiful global family. Now, if you follow the link down below, you will find lots of information for complex trauma. You'll find links to lots of free things. You'll find links to coaching, to certification for professionals, and a whole bunch more. So go and get curious and enjoy. Right after, we explore 12 signs of a low sense of self-worth. Now, the reason behind doing this particular video is because on my Instagram, I put up 7 signs of a low sense of self-worth, and it just blew up, and everybody was saying, how do we develop a sense of self-worth? So I wanted to share with you 12 signs of a low sense of self-worth, and also the understanding that when we come from a childhood where we experience complex trauma, we have yet to develop a sense of self as an adult, because in our childhood, we didn't get to develop it. Okay, so there are a lot of things we did get to develop, and this is one of the things that we didn't. And it's actually hooked into a part of our brain as well. So we need to develop it to have a part of our brain functioning healthy as well. So it's just one of the parts of the brain that we need to work on to get a healthy development happening. Now, sense of self can be looked at on the positive side, where if an adult says to us, hey, what would you like to do? How would you like to go about that? We're going to do this. What are your thoughts? So it gives us an agency as a child to begin to learn to think and to make conscious choices throughout our life. And as we grow up in that family, this is the healthy family, not our normal one. As we grow up in that family, those parents that are healthy also ask us questions about what we would like to begin to explore for our future, what we think as a person that would look like, and to support us in those decisions. So for me, I did that with my kids in a variety of different ways, because they all had different needs. So my eldest completed year 12, went on and did year 12 in a way that involved a number of different areas of study and certificates and things like that. So that was him, and he's gone on to explore different avenues of work. And my daughter was different again, and my younger son was different again. But it's in asking the questions about what do you want to do, where would you like to explore? And sometimes they don't know, but if we begin when they're younger, then they begin to know what it is that they'd at least like to explore. We come out of our childhood with no sense of self because we've lived on survival mode all our life. And developing a sense of self is one of the things that we need to do. If we don't develop a sense of self, we can find ourselves losing ourselves in romantic relationships. So one of my key thoughts was always, it'll be okay, we'll keep going in the relationship and we'll work it out as we go along. Whereas when I have a sense of self, I go, well, heck no. I'm not going to tolerate somebody who's just, wandering along in their life. And that's okay. If somebody just wants to wander along, that's okay too. But when I know me and I have my own sense of self, I know that it doesn't fit into my life. And I have to be very real about that, because if I don't, then I cause the other person pain, because I'm like, what was I like? Oh, it's a bit hard to remember. I want things done. So if the kids need something, I want to get it done. If the house needed something, I want to get it done. And when somebody's wandering along in life and not have that same focus of wanting to get things done, it just caused so many arguments. And so we want to be aware of that happening because we both have different ideas about how to live life in general. Okay. We can have codependent tendencies where we rely on other people for our happiness. And I notice this a lot as a coach when I'm coaching people and they have to leave a toxic relationship. Their first thought is, I can't do life alone. Okay. And it's something that we've never had to consider. But as we develop a sense of self, we become aware that we actually can do life alone. It's just that when we're on our own, it brings up all the unprocessed trauma into today. So it doesn't take us back to the past. It brings it into now to be worked on and grown through. And I bet 99% of us can agree with that we have an inability to create strong boundaries. And that's something that we do need to do. We cannot know what we want to do with our life. And we can have a group mentality where we tend to create an identity based on an ideal held by a group of people. So we go along with the group rather than having thoughts of our own and what that might look like if we had our own thought. And then the other side of it too is if we have our own thought, am I going to be rejected by the group? Right. So we have to be aware of these things which may seem minor to some people, but for us, they're actual things. I wouldn't call them deal breakers in relationships, but they're actual things that if we haven't resolved before we get into relationships, then we end up being in relationships that don't work for us, that won't work for us. We can be susceptible to peer pressure and end up doing things that make us feel uncomfortable. We have an empathy overload. So empathizing with people too much means that I can't separate myself from them and what they're going through. So as we develop a sense of self, we begin to be able to say, well, that's their stuff, that's their drama. And I don't say that to be rude. Some people want to continue living in chaos and drama and gossip and just really not speaking about people kindly. And it goes on and on and on. And one of our key needs is to develop this sense of self so that we stop over empathizing with everyone and begin to adult and make choices that reflect where we want to go with our life. Social anxiety, and that's a big one in and of itself. We can have chronic low-grade to intense anxiety and not know why. So I spent many years with chronic anxiety and had no idea why. It just didn't make sense to me at all why I kept having anxiety, and I could see no reason for it. We have the tendency to be taken advantage of by others and not see it coming. We feel disconnected from our true needs, desires, and dreams. And I would go so far as to say that we do not know our true needs, desires, and dreams. I'm only just building all of my dreams. Okay, so let's just say I'm a few decades into needing to have it done, but we're getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day. And we can have feelings of emptiness inside when we haven't developed our sense of self. Okay, now the good news is, because everybody responded to this meme so much, I actually put a workbook together to help us understand what a sense of self actually is, to begin to work with the brain on the sense of self, and to begin to ask some vital questions that we need to answer for ourselves as well, and a few other things. I will put the link down below to that new book. And for all those who are members of the individual membership and the professional business library, you'll find that you already have developing a sense of self in there. And there's two versions. There's the mini version and there's the longer version, which I've now done as well. So jump on into them and get started on developing your sense of self this week, or click on the link below and get started. And it's inexpensive. Okay, I don't believe that this should cost a lot for you to do, to begin putting one foot in front of the other. Okay. All right, it's beautiful to be back with you. I've had long COVID and I'm hopefully at the end of it, and I'm now back writing the certification and a whole lot of stuff. Basically, my year got derailed by getting COVID when I'd avoided it. My son brought it home, got lulled him, and now I'm on some antibiotics, and hopefully I will be at the end of the COVID experience, nearly 8-9 weeks down the road. So I have a negative PCR. It's just that the symptoms have been ongoing for this long. I hope that you're doing well. Let me know how you're going. And remember, we have our free Facebook peer support group, which is the most beautiful Facebook group on Facebook, because we actually genuinely care about each other. Stay safe, and I will see you on the next broadcast. Bye for now.